You are listening to The Standard Show, the podcast that brings you the stories behind the standards, with Matthew Childs and Cindy Paragill.
BSI White Papers provide expert insights, guidance and analysis on various topics related to standards, compliance and best practices. They are designed to inform and educate organisations, industries and policymakers about emerging trends, challenges and opportunities in areas where standards play a critical role. Hello, this is Matthew Childs and welcome to The Standard Show, the podcast that brings you the stories behind the standards. And this episode of The Standard Show is an audio-abridged version of one of those white papers, Understanding Sustainable Food Systems. The white paper reveals that the global food sector is responsible for a third of all greenhouse gas emissions, 60% of global biodiversity loss, and 2/3 of deforestation, while a third of all food produced is wasted. This underscores the urgent need for change. By aligning with the UN Sustainable Development Goals and adopting sustainability standards, organisations can lead the way. Implementing changes across farming, manufacturing and retail practices will drive positive impact, enhance public health and promote low-carbon, sustainable diets.
This is Cindy Paragill here with a reminder that you can rate, review and subscribe to The Standard Show wherever you get your podcasts. And you can get in touch and find and follow us on social media too. All the details are in the show notes.
White Paper: Understanding Sustainable Food Systems. Introduction. While food is essential for human survival, it's increasingly becoming a central factor to many of the challenges facing the world today. The food sector's impact on our planet and people is far-reaching and wide-ranging, and in its current form, it's unsustainable. We're currently using nature 1.7 times faster than the rate at which our planet's biocapacity can regenerate, and food security is forecast to be increasingly affected by projected climate change. In 2022, more than 9% of the world's population faced chronic hunger, while the food system's unsustainable practices accounted for around a third of greenhouse gas emissions and 70% of the world's freshwater use. Poor soil health, droughts and flooding, meanwhile, are significantly impacting our food supply, which in turn is intrinsically linked to people's health and the consequential strain on our health systems. Urbanisation, changing consumption patterns, population growth and climate change strain food systems, while deforestation, primarily for agriculture, further increases greenhouse gas emissions. These issues are complex and interconnected, which is why a systematic approach is needed if we are to create a truly sustainable food system. Sustainable food systems were identified by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 2, Zero Hunger, while sustainable resilient food systems were also a key pillar of the 2016 United Nations General Assembly's Decade of Action on Nutrition, 2016 to 2025. Many organisations in the food industry have taken steps and launched initiatives to work towards a sustainable food system. For others, the challenge has been lost in a sea of more pressing, more immediate concerns. Workforce challenges, rising costs, packaging and labelling challenges have all been very real and time-consuming. This white paper explores what a sustainable food system is and how organisations across the food system can take action. What is a sustainable food system? The UN defines a sustainable food system as a food system that delivers food security and nutrition for all. The system encompasses everything from the processing, packaging and transporting of food to consumers, with three overarching factors considered: economic sustainability, social sustainability and environmental sustainability. Reducing emissions often dominates conversations about what organisations can do to impact climate change. While that is a good place to start, there are a host of other issues within our ecosystems that are negatively impacting our food systems, affecting soil health, biodiversity, and land use, all of which, collectively, organisations in the food system can impact. Why a systemic approach is needed for a future of sustainable food. Given the interconnectedness of the food system, the challenge of creating sustainability cannot be solved in isolation. For example, a net zero approach alone does not solve issues of health. Tackling biodiversity loss doesn't automatically solve food security. Across the entire food system, farmers and producers, manufacturers, retailers, and consumers all impact and are impacted by our food system. Taking a systemic approach to our food system allows us to address the interdependence of the various components of a food system, how they connect, and how they impact one another. The need for consumer involvement is key. Businesses naturally follow consumer demands and trends, and research continues to show that consumers take ESG factors, environmental, social, and governance, into consideration when making purchasing decisions. This is critically important in the food and drink sector, with a study finding consumers are more aware of environmentally friendly communication from food and beverage brands more than in any other category. Regardless of the sector in which they are operating, however, brands are increasingly wary of accusations of greenwashing, which can create green hushing, whereby brands are hesitant to share ESG stories and claims. This creates a challenge, as education of consumers is needed around all aspects of a sustainable food system. For example, the benefits of buying local, eating a plant-based diet, or using alternative proteins are not adequately represented where green hushing is in play. It prevents important opportunities to educate consumers and provide those sustainable purchasing choices. Research from the Economist Intelligence Unit found that consumers believe brands have as much responsibility to create positive environmental change as governments do, and brands and manufacturers have the visibility to lead change before that change is mandated.
Standards affect all of us every day, wherever we go, whatever we do. By defining good practice, they help people and organizations to do things better. Each year, standards bodies publish thousands of standards, and we are looking for more people like you to join our community of standards makers. We welcome applicants from all fields, backgrounds, and career stages. Our goal is a simple one: to have a balance of views around the table. By becoming a standards maker, you could help to improve the way things are made and done, like creating healthier and more inclusive workplaces, developing higher quality healthcare systems, making advances in AI governance, or accelerating climate action, and many, many others. So, if you want to make a difference and shape the world through standards, start your standards making journey now. Details of how to do so are in the show notes.
What does a sustainable food system look like, and how do we get there? Every business operating in the food system has a significant part to play in creating a food system that will be sustainable for generations, fueling the health of the planet and the population. Reaching the end goal of a fully sustainable food system can seem like a challenging prospect. However, by understanding an organisation's key attributes and where they impact the system, we can take steps towards achieving this goal. There are a number of elements and considerations. Our current food system is responsible for 1/3 of greenhouse gas emissions, with methane from agriculture and emissions from food loss and waste being two major contributing factors. To reach net zero, a systems approach is needed to mitigate the impacts of climate change and look to decarbonise our food value chains. Climate change is both a cause and causality of our food systems, and looking towards nature-positive solutions can support a net zero future. Sustainable food production. A sustainable food system needs to contribute positively to our environment, promoting biodiversity and protecting natural resources. However, today, our food system is responsible for 60% of global biodiversity loss and 2/3 of forest loss. Looking at the land we use and how we farm could offer solutions to support a shift towards more sustainable food production. Regenerative agriculture. Regenerative agriculture offers a solution to combat climate change, reverse nature's decline, and halt biodiversity loss. It prioritises farming practices that restore nature, increase biodiversity, enhance soil health, and improve animal welfare. It can also help to prevent land degradation and deforestation, and reduce the need for chemicals, which in turn ensures healthier foods are produced to support improved population health. As well as reducing the negative impact of more conventional farming practices, regenerative agriculture helps build resilience against our changing climate. Deforestation. Deforestation, where land is cleared to be used for other purposes, primarily agriculture, is increasing at the rate of around 10 million hectares every year and causes around 10% of global warming. Most of the world's deforestation is linked to the production of meat, soya, and palm oil, with soya primarily grown to feed farm animals, including pigs and poultry, to meet consumer demand for meat. Clearing forests destroys animals' natural habitats and affects rainfall patterns, water and soil quality, and flood prevention. In addition, trees absorb and store CO2 and release CO2 and other greenhouse gases when cleared or disturbed. 60% of global biodiversity loss is due to the food system. Population health and nutrition. Our food systems are linked to our health systems, and our dietary habits are negatively impacting population health. Our diets are increasingly taking a massive toll on our health, causing illness and placing an unsustainable strain on our health systems. Creating a sustainable food system can impact not only our planetary health, but also population health. By creating healthier food options through sustainable farming practices, increasing plant-based diets, and consuming alternative sources of protein, individuals' health can be improved, and the strain on health services reduced. Biofortification. By enhancing the nutritional quality of crops through better soil management, increased soil quality, as well as biotechnology, the issues of health, nutrition, and food security can all be improved. Reformulation. Small changes to formulations can significantly impact food's nutritional profile. By reformulating to reduce salt and sugar content, brands can make subtle changes that have a notable impact. Alternative proteins. Plant-based proteins and lab-grown meats offer healthy and sustainable protein sources that can encourage a reduction in meat consumption. By developing and marketing alternative protein products, brands can help reduce the environmental footprint and change consumer behaviour. Similarly, plant-based diets consisting of fruits, vegetables, legumes, and nuts offer health and environmental benefits. As such, the investment in and promotion of plant-based product lines is impactful. Environmental and sustainability labelling. Labelling is one solution that can provide more sustainable consumption choices. Labels can help inform consumers by providing information about environmental credentials of products and can help drive more sustainable purchasing decisions. A report by the World Economic Forum found that 65% of consumers want to make the right choices to live a healthier and more sustainable lifestyle. Labelling with sustainability credentials of products can support a shift towards healthier and more sustainable diets, further supporting the transition towards sustainable food systems. Case study: How Morrisons achieved certified carbon neutral eggs. Supermarket chain Morrisons is British farming's biggest direct customer. It is actively reducing its supply chain emissions, having committed to achieving net zero operational emissions by 2035. In 2020, it launched a pilot scheme selling carbon-neutral eggs in 50 stores, with the carbon footprint calculated by academics at the University of Cambridge. Morrisons wanted independent and customer-recognised validation of its carbon-neutral status, so it worked closely with BSI to achieve 3 kite marks: carbon footprint of products, demonstrating carbon neutrality, and Carbon Footprint Management Plan. Initially, the egg's carbon footprint was 1.56 kilograms of carbon per 1 kilo of eggs, and several actions were taken to reduce this by 60%, including installing solar panels to provide renewable energy to hen houses, developing and maintaining woodland, grass and wildflowers to capture and store carbon, removing soy from the hens' diets and introducing insects and food waste, and improving hen production and efficiency through good health and welfare. Sustainable food systems. Time for action. The transition towards sustainable food systems has begun, and it's important for organisations to get ahead of the curve before governments and legislators mandate it. There are plenty of advantages to becoming an organisation that leads rather than follows, and the key question here is where to start. After all, a sustainable food system is wide-ranging and all-encompassing and impacts many areas. It's important for organisations to align their strategy with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and demonstrate positive progress by implementing certification standards. By identifying areas of influence, businesses throughout the food system can begin to understand where changes can be implemented. For farmers, those changes may involve shifting towards more regenerative practices. For manufacturers, reformulating products could help improve public health, while more transparent, clearer labelling can help consumers make better health choices. For retailers, giving more prominence to alternative protein lines and promoting plant-based diets may encourage consumers to consciously shift dietary habits towards more sustainable, low-carbon options. Measurement frameworks and new ways of working are needed to enable organisations to assess impact and tell the right story accurately and authentically. BSI can support organisations in the food industry to identify ways in which they can become more sustainable, embed systems and processes, and measure impact, working towards independent certification and validation in the form of internationally recognised kite marks. Now, if you're interested in learning more about the themes and issues raised in this white paper, or about how to get involved in standards, then check out the links in the show notes. And the show notes are also where you can find details of our socials and all the other ways to get in touch with us here on The Standard Show.
You have been listening to an episode of The Standard Show, the podcast that brings you the stories behind the standards, with Matthew Childs and Cindy Parakill.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.